Greetings, friends. Your favorite crypto astrologer here, Crypto Damas. How are you guys doing? As a lot of you know, I've been publicized on Twitter. I finally got COVID and I've been isolating at home for the last 6 days. It's been kind of a bummer, but I'm finally feeling well enough to do a little YouTube video for you guys today on the upcoming new moon, July 13th. We've got a big week this week, folks. First of all, we're entering the period of the USA Pluto return number 2, which we've talked a lot about in our previous post and in all my reports and updates. Please go to my website, astrocryptoreport.com, and check out all my consultations and services and subscription reports, especially my Patreon group, which has all the most detailed information on financial astrology for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So as I was saying, we've entered into the USA Pluto return period, which is roughly July 10th through the 15th. I mean, it's really the whole month of July. This is the second pass of Pluto, exactly conjuncting the USA Pluto return, the USA natal Pluto. And this is, like I said, the second pass. The first pass was in February, and the last pass is going to be in December. So it's really the entire year of 2022, which is a crisis point for the USA. It's definitely looking like a stock market crash, a crypto crash. It could be a financial crisis, and it could be a really, actually, the most serious economic crisis since 2008. Well, we're going to find out how deep this crisis is going on Wednesday when we get the next CPI numbers. And that coincides with the full moon. So let's go to my astrology software. And just give me 1 second here, guys. All right, there we go. We'll go to my favorite astrology software, Luna Astrology. And I have it keyed up here for the exact new moon, which is at 11:37 a.m. Pacific time. And it's a very interesting day. So as I said, we've got the USA Pluto return period, which is kind of a crisis for the almost really the whole month of July. But really, in particular this week, the exact USA Pluto return, I believe, was today, July 11th. But it's not really an exact day. It's actually a whole period, and we're going to give it really about a 5-day exact period. So July 13th, full moon in Capricorn. So the moon is not well placed in Capricorn. That's its traditional sign of detriment and opposite the sign of its rulership in Cancer. And the moon in Capricorn in general is kind of there's a lot of fears about material security, right? So that doesn't really bode well, just to start with that. But then if you look closely, you see the moon itself is actually conjunct Pluto within about 6 degrees. And Pluto is, of course, famous for breakdown, destruction, death, and then renewal, regeneration. So, and that Pluto is conjunct the USA Pluto, and the moon is conjunct Pluto and the USA Pluto. And also, by the way, as we've mentioned in some of our reports, the Bitcoin progressed sun. So Bitcoin is very much connected to the USA Pluto return, and the financial crisis in the USA continues to have unfavorable influences for Bitcoin. And we do think that Bitcoin is going to go a lot lower. We think stocks and markets in general, that this full moon conjunct Pluto in detriment in Capricorn is overall quite unfavorable in general. And I'm expecting a pretty high CPI number, okay? So we got the jobs report last Friday, and that tells us that the economy is actually still doing okay. The problem is that gives the Fed more room. They have to raise interest rates to cool things off. If we get another hot CPI number on Wednesday, which is what I'm expecting, that's going to be another, really another nail in the coffin of the global financial markets, in my opinion. Now we'll look at a couple other factors for this full moon. Mercury, by the way, is going to be heading into maximum combustion to the sun. It's already combust, meaning it's not currently visible to the eye. So its light is hidden. This is unfavorable. It's in a weakened state. And as we've seen time and time again, Bitcoin does not like Mercury combust. So that's another unfavorable, and that's going to head into maximum combustion all week. Okay, so that's a big unfavorable as well. Now, the third unfavorable here has to do with Venus. Now, Venus is actually coming out of a trine to Saturn, which generally speaking would be considered pretty favorable for business, the economy, and markets. However, the problem is it's also heading into a square with Neptune. And that is a very unfavorable aspect, usually resulting in disappointment, and overly optimistic viewpoints lead to disappointment. So this is our third unfavorable for this full moon, okay? And so things are not looking good. You know, this doesn't bode well. And again, I think this really all indicates that we're going to get a pretty high CPI number that's going to continue to tank the markets. Now, there is there are two favorables. You'll notice the moon is actually in a pretty close trine to Uranus. And that can bring some sudden, unexpected positive surprises. It is somewhat favorable, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to really change up the game. And you know, Uranus is kind of unreliable. We don't know how that's going to manifest. There could be a silver lining in there somewhere. There could be some type of a favorable that mitigates the damage. Okay, but given that the moon is debilitated, badly debilitated, and Mercury is badly combust, and Venus is badly afflicted, you know, I just don't know if that's going to be enough. Now, also, Mercury, while combust, is also in a nice sextile to Uranus. So that's the other minor favorable. And again, that could bring some good news. The question is it really enough to offset all of the unfavorables and really mitigate the economic crisis, as well as the USA Pluto return, which is kind of, if you're, you know, just an unseen factor out there for just leading us into another crisis period. So overall, that's the overall picture on this full moon, and it's not looking very good. So even though and then after this, actually, we enter into this period with Pluto is going to be heading into an exact conjunction to the Bitcoin progressed sun. And that period is about July 15th through the 25th. It's a 10-day period. It's going to be really hard to say exactly when that hits in terms of the price action, but I would be looking for another major leg down in that 10-day period. And that may start as early as this, you know, this week, or it could happen later, you know, out in July 20th through 25th. It's really impossible to say when that's going to hit. So overall, I just think that the story is just not really looking very good. And I continue to stand by my call for Bitcoin going much lower this summer. I'm looking for that 13, 14K Bitcoin by the end of July or early August. And that's kind of where things are at right now. So let's all see what happens here. It's going to be a really interesting week. I'm sure that the CPI number is going to have a big effect and really shake up the markets. After that, the really next big event is going to be that Fed meeting, and that's July 26th, 27th. That also has some unfavorable astrology. Jupiter's going to go retrograde, and a whole shitstorm of alignments is going to come together there with Mars conjunct Uranus and the North Node, and then Mars is going to square Saturn. So we'll get to that. I'll do an update on that in a couple weeks. But that doesn't look very good either. And so I just don't have a lot of really optimistic, I don't really have a lot of optimistic news for us right now. I think that things just continue to get worse in July and August for the global markets. And just in general, the astrology is looking very poor right now. So Now, I think maybe Maren Allman was saying there's going to be a rebound for Bitcoin on the moon phase. She's very into the moon phase. I'm not as into the moon phase because I just haven't seen the evidence, just isn't really that convincing. And there are other factors out there. So I think that we're not going to see a big rebound for Bitcoin between the 13th and the 28th, even despite a slightly possibly more bullish moon phase. I don't think it's going to play out. We're in a deep bear market, and I think we're going a lot lower. So I am, not buying. I'm not trying to call any bottoms, and I continue to be shorting any bounces. We do have one favorable on Tuesday, just after midnight on the West Coast here on the 13th, and that is that Mars is going to trine the Bitcoin natal Mars. So we could see a fake out rebound sometime late on Tuesday or early in the morning on July 13th. But that doesn't mean it's not going to go lower tomorrow. So it's really hard to call it. But there does look like there will be some strength late in the day on Tuesday or possibly after midnight on that Mars. That's really the only favorable I see. And I think that would give a perfect short entry. So if we do see another fake out rebound from Bitcoin late on the 12th, I would definitely take that opportunity to short it. I hope that's all interesting information for you folks, and I hope that you're having a good week. And we'll be doing another YouTube pretty soon here. Thanks for joining. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube. And once again, if you like this information, go check out my website at astrocryptoreport.com. All right, take care, everybody.